I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody know the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One is you I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep fucking it out the root. Make country flowers in there, fuck it up. Make country produce in there, fuck it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who fucking up me country. Riding on me donkey, transportation bliss. Me fireside bubbling a goodie. I hear rioting in the gas crisis. Surrounded by wild animals. What a vicious pack. But none of them does launch an attack. None of them poison us like invert and sap. The hunt always on, I could say that much. And true, can switch it off like crime watch. My mission now is to put a stop to whosoever fucking me country up. Some say a man named Eric, George, Robbie and Patrick. Some say Capildeo, Paris, Kamla, Basteo. Old man Bedu said this ain't nothing new. They fucking up long before 1962. If Wattley was around, he might have tell we directly who fucking up me country.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Rebuttal. Last week, we were unable to produce and present a rebuttal because the radio station was in maintenance mode. I'm told that they had to repair and otherwise maintain its transmitters because some persons in certain key areas of the country were unable to hear the radio station, and as such you were unable to hear the rebuttal. But I'm told that the maintenance is complete and we are a go. So this evening you are getting your usual dosage of the rebuttal. Remember, I'm Douglas Wattley, your host, and as always, I'm pleased to have you in the listening audience. If you're in St. Kitts or Nevis, or if you're in the St. Kitts Nevis diaspora, once again, welcome to the rebuttal. Before I get going, I want to take this opportunity to wish happy birthday to my brother in the struggle, Dwyer Astafan. I hope you are still having a great day today. I know today is his birthday because tomorrow, God willing, is my birthday. Yes, I shall be 59 years old tomorrow, God willing. And so starting midnight this evening, I shall take a sip of my Remy Martin XO and be ready to have a day of relaxation tomorrow as I get closer to my 60th birthday. Once I make 59, that means a couple of things. It means if I live long enough, I would be 60 years old next year, around the same time, right? It also means that if I am 59, it means that I can't die at 58 or 57, right? So that's another good thing. It also means that I am getting closer and closer to my expiration date. All of us must one day die. And I hope that when my time comes, that I could face it with the bravery with which I have attempted to face my life all these years. But that's enough of that. Like I said, I'm glad to express greetings to Dwyer, and I hope that I can have an equally good day tomorrow on my 59th birthday. Now, when I returned to St. Kitts and Nevis in 1994, I came back to St. Kitts the August in 1994. My intention was to become employed in the public service and to make my contribution to the development of the Federation. I am a public servant at heart. I'm a servant. And so I am never influenced by money. Now, if I work and if we agreed on a price, I expect to be paid. But money is not what has motivated me, or else I would have stayed in the private sector. My first degree, some of you may know, is in banking and finance. And once I graduated, I worked for a while at TDC, first at the automotive unit, and then as underwriter in SNCC. But once I went back to the United States, did my stint in the United States Army, and did a master's degree in health services administration, when I came back to St. Kitts, it was to serve, and it was to serve in the Ministry of Education, of Health. I knew when I was choosing health that no one at that time in St. Kitts had a degree in any aspect of health administration, not public health, not health services administration. You had nurses with qualifications, but none with health-specific qualification. So when I returned, my intent was to work in the Ministry of Health. And at that time, there was a vacancy for health planner. I applied for it and didn't get it. And I always say thanks to Mr. Hugh Heiliger, because he, recognizing that I was in St. Kitts for a while and not working, he offered me a job in his ministry, which was agriculture. And so I was the registrar of cooperatives for a while. My first job, once I got back to St. Kitts, was as registrar of cooperatives. And then the government changed. And once the government changed, at that time, I was really enjoying my job as registrar of cooperatives. I had gotten an opportunity to go to Israel to learn cooperative development, and I was beginning to like it. And then I got a call. I got a call first from Dr. Patrick Martin, and he said, Mr. Wattley, I am aware that you have a master's degree in health administration, and I have broached your name with the powers that be, and I've suggested to them that you be transferred to the Ministry of Health. Of course, sounded good. But I remember saying to myself, why would I want a lateral movement at this point in time? Because I was enjoying the job I was doing. And then 2 weeks later, I got a letter from the Governor General saying, you're transferred to the Ministry of Health as Assistant Secretary. I was not given a choice. I was moved with immediate effect. As luck would have it, and I'm kidding here, my first day on the job was the day of Hurricane Louis. I think it was Louis, yeah. That was my first day on the job. So I had baptism by water. And you know how these storms would just adversely affect everything in the country. More so the hospital. Hospital took a beating. And so that was how I was baptized into the Ministry of Health. And because I had just left the U.S. military, I had a certain go about me. And so, I pretty much took charge and led the recovery. And in no time, the ministry was up and running. And that's how I got my start in the Ministry of Health. Now, as I said, when I decided to study health, it is because I wanted a career in health. I didn't have the temperament to work in private sector businesses. I had a temper, right? And I had a conceit about me. And so I wasn't well suited for the private sector. And so the public sector is where I wanted to be. And I settled in. My career path said that I would work my years in the ministry. And when I'm finished, I would try to move over and hopefully get a job with PAHO or some other health organization. That was my career path. I mean, nowadays I know a lot of us don't engage in that. But I have always attempted to do my own career pathing. I always knew what I wanted to do, but I always have options. I never just said I wanted to be this and that was that. I've always had options so that if what I wanted didn't come to pass, then I would do something else. I often tell people that was the weakness and may still be the weakness of our educational system, in that we train or we teach our students to write an exam. But beyond that, we don't expose them to the possibilities that are out there. And certainly that is one of the reasons why by the time I got to university, I ended up changing my degree nearly 6 times until I settled on business. And I only settled on business because that was the only course that I could cover in the remaining 2 years of my studies without going over the 4 years that I had allotted for my degree. Now, so what I'm saying is that we need to spend more time assisting our kids and showing them the options that are out there, the options that are available to them, and what benefits could be derived if they went and chose a particular career path. But I have always done that to some extent. And so health is where I want it to be. I'm not going to go into why I wasn't in health. There was one of the more disappointing decisions that that was made that affected me. And so I ended up moving from the Ministry of Health. Let's just say that. One of these days I'm still going to talk about it. But I ended up moving from the Ministry of Health. And once I moved from the Ministry of Health and then moved again, I got into an area which was going to allow me an opportunity to do something else that I liked, which was the study of organization, how they work and how you build organizations and how you try to make them work better. All right? And that would help me to one day become a consultant as well as a trainer in business and related studies, right? And so that is the path that I ended up in. Organizational development, organizational theory, training and development. That's where I ended up, and that's where I am today. But I've always said that health was my true love. And I trust and hope that I made a difference when I was in health. I could tell you right now the present structure of the Ministry of Health was one that I crafted. I could tell you right now that the reason you have a new JNF is because I insisted that we go that route, because the previous government, which was the PAM government, had agreed with PAHO to simply retrofit the buildings at the hospital. You see, the hospitals, I think, may have been a donation or grant, and I think Trinidadians were involved in the construction of the hospital then, the old hospital. And so you find that the blocks that built that hospital were not the solid blocks that we are accustomed to nowadays, one. And two, there wasn't a lot of steel work in them. And so PAHO had decided what it would do is to add at least an inch to each side of the block work on the building. You know, and it was quite a technology. I saw it done. It was, I think, what is his name? I think it was Leroy Byron that did one or two of the buildings. And I think it may have been Heiliger from Sandy Point who did another one of the buildings. But I saw it done, and I thought it was quite ingenious, right? And so even though it wasn't something that I had preferred, and I argued vehemently that we should go the route of building a new hospital, in retrospect, the technology to retrofit the hospital was out of this world. I watched them add inches to the blocks and made the building stronger. And I thought it was quite interesting. But I had already made up my mind. And there were only two persons who were arguing in favor of a new hospital. People had resigned to do it the way that the previous government had agreed. There were only two people, actually, who were arguing that a new hospital was needed. And that was myself and Dr. Patrick Martin. The difference between Dr. Patrick Martin and myself was that I thought it made more sense to rebuild on the existing site. Dr. Patrick Martin thought it should have been rebuilt on another site. And while I agree with his rationale that he wanted it built outside of the approach pathway of the airlines coming into RLB, I thought it would have probably caused us to spend way too much money to make that move. Well, the decision makers decided to keep it on the site, but then we were able to go ahead and build a new hospital. And it is fulfilling to see that happen on your watch. We have seen and heard a lot of people complain about the hospital and the health system over the years. I'm not saying that it was perfect while I was there, because I was trying to correct a lot of problems that existed. I personally don't think that the effort that we put in between 1995 and 2000 when I was there, I personally don't think that effort was kept up. And so I believe that the hospital and the health system is behind by a couple of years where it should normally have been. Now, the recent issue having regards to the health system is the issue of a national health insurance or universal health insurance scheme. I was still friendly with the present government when that decision was made. I was a little uneasy. I was always uneasy, because when you say that you're going to undertake a project and that the project is to install a universal healthcare system, it sounded to me like you had already made a decision regarding the solution before you studied the problem. And so I was always uneasy, and I remember that I was always said, do not use the term establishing a national health insurance scheme or a universal health insurance scheme, because you don't know if when you study the system that would be the preferred solution. Because in health, there are a couple of things that you are trying to achieve. You're trying to achieve, on a global sense, from a visionary standpoint, you're trying to have healthy population development. All right? And so the question is, how do you go about that? And it is the answer that you need to be able to provide quality health care to the population. Now, a couple of things would have to be addressed. You have to have a health system developed which provides access to the services delivered by that health system. And this issue of health insurance is really an issue of access. Do we have a healthcare system that provides uninhibited access to the services of that system to everyone in the country? And the answer, quite frankly, is yes, to some extent. But the extent that you don't doesn't necessarily mean that you have to provide health insurance. It simply means that you have to find a way to provide the access. There's also the issue of affordability when you're dealing with health. In some instances, you may have fees for certain services, and so the question is, one, can the people afford the fee for services? But you have to look at affordability from another standpoint, from the delivery of service. And the government certainly is interested in that. The government is interested in ensuring that the services that it delivers, it can afford. And that's where the issue of funding these services come. I insist that with a budget of $65 million, there is no need for a standalone health insurance system in St. Kitts. What you need is a revisioning of the health system, a restructuring of the health system. That is what you need. Because $65 million certainly should be able to deliver quality health care to all of the people in the country. And I'm going to add this, free, of course, to those individuals. Of course, it's not free, because the question of how you pay for it is going to come to the fore. And let's face it, government pay for its services by collecting taxes, by collecting fees, by collecting tariffs. You understand? And so the government collects from the people to in turn provide the services needed by the people. And it's no different when it comes to health. And so you ought to be in a situation where you can collect from the people to provide the care that the people need. And if you set up a health insurance separately, and if you raise funds either from the people or from certain other taxes to fund that insurance, then it means you are funding twice. It means you're paying twice. You're collecting way too much from the people. All because in the one instance you got to provide the health services, and in the other instance you got to provide the funding for the insurance. I'm saying you only need one. There is a way to design the system to provide adequate healthcare services, highest quality, to the people without going and setting up a separate health insurance scheme. I think it's too expensive to go that route. All right? I think that enough money is put into health for you to be able to have the best health care anywhere in the Caribbean. But you gotta be willing to think outside the box. I've given it a lot of thought. I have designed the system, but that's a me business. You understand? It's my way of keeping my brain occupied. When I get a chance, I work on things and I keep them. I've always done that. But I'm telling you, and I'm saying that to say this. I noticed somebody had put something on my Facebook page. Not my Facebook page, but maybe it was on my Facebook page. And it was about one being able to afford dialysis at the hospital. Dialysis is expensive. There's no doubt about it. I'm told that you need 3 treatments per week, and each treatment is about $800 EC a pop. Right? That's what, $2,400 a week? That amounts to somewhere close to $10,000 a month, which means somewhere in the region of $120,000 a year per person to treat them with dialysis. That is not affordable to the individual, and you may argue that it's not sustainable for the institution. I don't know how many persons in St. Kitts right now have end-stage renal failure. I don't know. I know it's expensive. But then again, I believe that you could design a system where your people should be able to get those kind of services free. I think it's possible, and I think that we may be able to keep the number of persons suffering from end-stage renal failure down if we go back to primary health care as the principal focus of our health system. Too many of us have diabetes. Too many of us have high blood pressure. And in the end, too many of us suffer from end-stage renal failure. So I believe that the entire health sector needs to be studied. I was disappointed that a health insurance scheme was being devised absent an overall analysis, an overall study of the health system generally. I was disappointed. I was even more disappointed when you tell me that the people who did it came from a university. Because I'm telling you, what was needed is a full study of the health system and an overhaul of the system. If at the end of all that, a preferred solution it would be health insurance, so be it. I don't think it would have been. But if that were the case, so be it. Now, I understand, if I were to take the perspective of the consultant, they were following through on a mandate that was given to them by the terms of reference that you presented them. And so they come in and they fulfill the term of reference. But you see, a lot of times when you do things locally, or when you are able to use local people to do certain things, they are likely to tell you the truth. They are likely to tell you what you need to know. But you don't want to hear it from them because they're local. You don't want to hear it from them. Another thing that disappoints me is that I'm hearing talk about the imminent launch of the universal health insurance scheme. But the population ain't got a chance to weigh in. You have not presented it. You have not published it for notice and comments. You have not allowed the people to critique it. And I'm sure that if and when you do so, and you would only do so because you know now I'm telling you to do so, you're not going to give enough time for people to study and to make comments. And so right now, a lot of people are still not pleased with the health system that we have home. But I can tell you right now, St. Kitts has the potential to be the front runner. St. Kitts has the potential to be the prototypical health system throughout the region. But we need to be a little bit more innovative and a little bit more creative. And we need to be willing to listen to the people who have ideas as to how to fix it. And I'm not talking about borrowing ideas from different countries. I'm talking about sitting down and crafting something, being informed by what is done elsewhere, but crafting something that you could probably say is uniquely St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm going to pause there and then we'll come back and continue our discussion.
I love being in related style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamonds and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% black. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave, genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume, just smell your swag, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Deon Street.
Ready or not, hear my clothes, you can't hide. I'm gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing. Trying to tell me nothing.
I'm Shaniel Francis. Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
I'm local.
Check me area code, me area code. Anywhere me go, you know me touch the
To international.
Ay, I go shopping, want it then I cop it. Ay, yeah, popping, I do what they copy.
And have you informed with a range of topics.
So on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Backchat.
Ready or not, hear my clothes.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep talking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, park it up. Make country producing it, park it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I was there, so I didn't see exactly who walking up my country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. I'm just going to chit-chat about a couple of different things that have come to my attention. And that probably would take us all the way up to the end of the show, maybe with one break in between. But there are a couple of things that were brought to my attention, which I think I should ruminate on a little bit. I understand that there is a new hire at the Financial Investigation Unit. And I'm told that the government did not advertise the position or the post, and so no one was interviewed for the position. You see, when it suits them, they say, oh, we advertise the position because that's the proper thing to do. But we know that when they were selecting the PS in Health, Eugene didn't want to hire nobody from K1, right? Or nobody from his constituency. And so he let them give him somebody and bamboozle him and tell him that that's the preferred way to go by way of interviews. But here, I'm understanding that you had an handpicked individual for this position. This is a highly technical position, you know. The people that work there, especially to be in charge, has to go through some form of training. And I don't know if you know, this is the position with whom foreign governments, particularly the United States, would communicate regarding issues like money laundering and corruption. And so, when you hear that an individual was put there, and when you hear that it appears that that person was handpicked, it makes you think, it makes you wonder, why? You see, because this position is not one where the individual should be subordinate to any office in the country. They're not subordinate to the Prime Minister. You understand? They are supposed to be independent because they may have to inform and initiate investigation about ministers of government, even the Prime Minister, and about siblings of ministers of government, including those siblings of the Prime Minister. And so it makes you wonder, why would they handpick somebody? Could it be that that individual would be installed as a lackey, as a crony? Could it be that that individual would be installed as a warning, an early warning system to alert certain people of what is going on, what chatter they're hearing about money laundering, about corruption in the country, especially if it involves one of those individuals. And that's why the system is so messed up. And that's why it is so bothersome that when people are in opposition and when people are trying to get in power, they say all the right things. And then when they are put in power, you cannot believe the monster that you unleashed. And that is what we are dealing with in this instance. Can't believe the monster that we have unleashed. And so now they have cover They have cover. They have an early warning system in place just in case there's talk about who is corrupt and who may be involved in moving monies illegally. But sometimes, it don't matter how much you try to patch and cover. When you're dealing with countries like the United States, it is always good to be aware that they can get you if and when they want to. And one of the reasons you see that I would say things like this on air is because I want them to hear, so that they know what is happening, what to look for. Because we can't give this government a pass. We can't give the people in this government a pass. They have acquired wealth, tremendous wealth, illegally. And we should never stop talking about it. We should never think that that is acceptable and that's the way it's supposed to go. Right? Now, so that one is regarding FIU. Let me talk about solid waste. I had mentioned previously that about $5 million was missing at solid waste. That was the word on the street. That's what the inside people told me. That about $5 million were missing at the Solid Waste Management Corporation. I have not heard that anybody was fired. I have not heard that anybody was jailed. All I'm hearing now is that there's a financial crisis at the solid waste and that they may not be able to pay the wages and salaries of the employees. You see, you have to understand, solid waste management was never established as a self-sufficient entity, Because for it to be self-sufficient, it would have to charge you a significant amount to deposit your waste at the solid waste management landfill. And so it was never considered that it would be able to self-sustain unless it was kept purely as a management entity just for the landfill. But a decision was taken years ago to move certain workers from out of the Ministry of Health proper into that entity. And so government has always provided subventions to solid waste. And that is because it couldn't self-sustain. I don't know how much government is contributing right now, but I know government cannot be too pleased if money is missing. The only way government ain't gonna make no noise if money is missing, right, is if one of the siblings of the big belly fellow, took the money, or if somewhere money made its way to some of these people, right? But if it's anybody else, you keep hearing about money going missing under this government here, because monkey see, monkey do, At that or not just that, they see certain people getting and taking, and they feel that they're entitled to. So we would keep our eye on the Solid Waste Management Corporation, because I'm hearing that money not there. And so it's becoming a little bit more challenging for them to meet their obligations on a monthly basis. We would talk more about that. What else do I want to talk about? The vaccine. Guys, as I speak to you right now, I'm understanding that nobody in St. Kitts has received any vaccine up to this date. I'm understanding that no vaccine is in St. Kitts up to this point in time. I thought that the government said it paid X amount of dollars as a down payment for vaccine. Well, one thing I know, the amount of money they spent could itself purchase literally thousands of vaccines. And so we believe, or I believe, that up to this point, thousands of people should by now have been vaccinated. And one thing I know St. Kitts know how to do is to vaccinate people, because St. Kitts has one of the best vaccination, if not the best vaccination coverage system in the Caribbean. And so I know that they know how to do it. And by now, thousands of persons in St. Kitts should have been vaccinated. I'm just saying, seems like sense to me. It seems like sense to me. Yet you are made to wait. Moderna, if I'm not mistaken, said that their vaccines would cost somewhere between $32 and $37 US dollars per dose. And so you be the judge based on, I can't recall if the $800,000 was US or $800,000 was EC, right? But you can do the math and see how much vaccines we should have gotten up to this point. All right? So I don't know what they're waiting for, right? I know they see what is happening in Barbados and St. Vincent, and so I don't know what you're waiting for. And let's face it, you are not going to be open up to any meaningful tourist traffic unless and until you have acquired herd immunity in St. Kitts and Nevis. And that may very well be somewhere in the region of vaccinating between 70% and above of the population. And if you're going to do that, you got to start now. Because it's likely not going to happen overnight. All right? So I'm just asking, what happened to the vaccines? Is there anything else I want to chit-chat? A little nigger business. I see somebody put up something on Facebook trying to throw shade at my brother Big Lice. And one of the things they say is that need to ask Big Lice, how come he get him other house? Well, let me tell you, I'm the bigger brother. Let me tell you how Big Lice get the house. And I'm sure you realize that none of the siblings arguing about no house. So I don't know why you put it in the paper. The other things I can't necessarily talk to, that a Big Lice gonna have to address them if you feel like. But this one you involve, are we? The siblings. Big Lice is the 8th of 8 children. And a decision was taken by 7 of the 8 children to give the house to the 8th child, which is Big Lice. You understand how it go? You ain't gonna find are we fighting like some other people. That's how I go. My brother in Nevis got a house, self-sufficient. My brother in Tartola got a house, self-sufficient. My brother in Anguilla got a house, self-sufficient. My brother in Orlando got a house, self-sufficient. Right? My sister got a house, self-sufficient. I got a brother in Puerto Rico. I'm not too sure how he there. But he's a survivor, so I'm not worried about him. Alright? And then me, but I don't even know what I got. They say I not got nothing. So, but still, it must be that I don't want nothing. Because the idea to hand the house over to Big Lice came from me and my oldest brother in Nevis. We were the two ones who came up with that decision. Right? So, I hope I put that one to rest. Whoever the fake something person was who put up that thing about Big Lice. The other things, you could figure that out by yourself. But since you mentioned the family assets, I thought I would let you know that how, like some other people are, gutless, Alright. Anything else I need to chit-chat about? Let me see here. Oh, you realize it's more than 10 months now that people ain't get the severance? In more than 10 months, people ain't get the severance. It's going on a year. And this government ain't pay people the severance. But these are the same people who in the 3 or 4 years from now gonna come and try to entice you to vote for them. Get a little change there. But you cannot forget things like this. This would have never happened under a Labour administration. You need to keep these things here in the back of your mind. 10 months and you don't get your severance yet. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to chit-chat about. I'm not sure. But I'm going to talk about something, but I think a better thing. Oh, there is right now a dispute that is blossoming between Kyssfm and Social Security. It would turn out that when they had the agreement for the peer, the legal counsel was Gonzalez. And so it appears that the port had to pay Gonzalez for representation in the negotiations. There was another legal person in those discussions who was representing Social Security. Only now, port is getting a bill from the lawyer who was thought to be representing Social Security for $130,000 EC for legal services with respect to the negotiation of the agreement for the building of the pier. The pier that spoiled. Yeah. And so right now, I think the port made it clear unequivocally that they not pay. So we wait to see how that dispute is gonna end up. All right. I think that I'm gonna close out here. I'm looking at my notes. I don't think I wanted to talk about anything else in the hour that we have. So I'm going to close here and I'm going to wish you guys a special good evening. And at midnight, like I said, I'm hoping that I would be taking a drink, God willing, for my birthday, which is tomorrow. Guys, thanks in advance for the good wishes on my upcoming birthday. Y'all take care this evening, and it's good to have you back. Thanks to all the people that worked on the transmitter for Kyssfm, and it's good to be back. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye.
Yes! That's the man Big Lies again. 2020 Virtual Carnival. With me and Mark Wattley. How you doing, my boy? I hear Neve is nice. Ma'am, my Neve is friend, ma'am. Jamie, share the live, share the live. Just one Facebook live session serve to capture the nation's attention. This surprise reaction points to a thirst for information. Whenever there is rumor, one has to counter. Balance and truth always matter. When it's your reputation that's called into question, silence is never an option. We want to know, Timo, we want to know why you continue to undermine Maxo. We want to know, Timo, we want to know. Are you subtly telling Nevis they got to go? Tell us why should they accept your ongoing disrespect? Always interfering without informing. You well know that Mark is in charge, but you think you're larger than large. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. Ooh, Calypso man. They're gonna try all kind of things. They have their bully people on Facebook, hiding behind all kind of fake profiles. But tell them we're not afraid them. Hey, paying them all kind of money. You use your bully pulpit, trying your very best to discredit, calling into question many a person's reputation. Honest men and women have been made to defend their good reputation, while on social media persons of dishonor spreading lies and propaganda. So we want to know, we want to know why you, Wallace and Andre does lie so. We want to know, Timo, we want to know where exactly did their campaign money go? Your threat of legal action was just a mere distraction. Meanwhile, hoping that we will forget about the money. But when we see your portfolio of property start to overflow, how did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. Yeah, man! Kaiser! Green Brand, Gene Conda, what going on? Saman Dwyer, ungratefulness, worse than witchcraft. When one looks at your history, It's clear you have issues with loyalty, because while in opposition, where did you turn for inspiration? I could well remember Franklin Brand and Jean Conda making sure you were looked after. But since you came to power, you have nothing to offer. Now it's just you, family and brother. So we want to know, Timo, we want to know, how on earth you turn ungrateful soul. We want to know, Timo, we want to know. Not even Dwyer you consult anymore. Suddenly you don't like Sam, no respect, you don't give a damn. Ever since you arrived, you don't care if he survive. Forgetting those who help you up, that's the way ingratitude stop. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. Kyssfm, Sharon Rattan, I want to say thanks a million. You saved the country a lot of money. But we need answers. We need to know about the severance money. I have one simple question. Please, Timo, can you tell the nation about their severance money? Is it being managed responsibly? Cause I hear in a rumor about a certain fella and a former labor commissioner. Is it true that the quick action from Sharon Rattan save the country 1.2 million? We want to know, Timo, we want to know, why you protecting Andre Lieberstone? We want to know, Timo, we want to know, just how far are you willing to go to shield him from any attack? Have you pledged to have his back? Are you just protecting or saving your own skin? Some of the things I hear you would do, Mr. PM, I hope that ain't true. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. Why? Kyssfm, we're asking hard questions. Remember, share the life, share the life, share the life. Kyssfm, Abonati Studio. Abonati.